And thank University of California for this wonderful conference. I have learned a lot too, sitting here, and it has been visually very challenging and enticing. The topic I want to deal with today is the coming of leisure in China and how that turned into a major industry as part of the world as well. In the late and middle 19th century, I should say, the notion of the world, 世界, or the globe, 地球, or 五大洲, the 5 continents, and 四大洋, the 4 oceans, have become increasingly real for the Chinese. And Shanghai, of course, represents the arrival of the world in a very real sense. In the Shanghai print industry, which many of the scholars have been talking about today, the world coming in, not so much as foreign institutions or foreign military might or foreign technology, but foreign as curiosity. The foreign as a cultural product, which has been marketed in the Shanghai print market. And one of the first person to do this, or the first person to explore this, was an Englishman called Ernest Major. He is the founder of Shenbao. 1872, he founded the first, not the first, but the very early Chinese language newspaper, but together he published a magazine called 银环所记. We can translate that as Global Miscellanea, in which the world is already in the title of the magazine. The 银环 is the world, coming of the world. And in this magazine, he first started to serialize one of the English novels that will become rather famous later on. At the same time, he pioneered the first lithograph. At that time, I think it was copper engraving illustration called The Globe Illustrated. That's 环银画报. Unfortunately, maybe Kui Yi can help me. I can't get an image because Shanghai 图书馆 used to hold such a copy and has gone missing. So that only version is gone. At the same time, the increasing with lithograph printing, the world started to arrive in a variety of ways visually in China. Oops, Chinese characters are gone. Well, anyway, doesn't matter. This is one of the American missionary journals that I could find of the early, this is 1875, 小儿画报, or translated as Illustrated Monthly for the Youth. And we can see here quite clearly that the world is brought to the Chinese viewer in very concrete and real ways, in urban settings, in ethnic representation, in architecture, and as a sense of wonder, not as a sense of threat. The West also, or the world in fact, is being represented as technological know-how, visual feast of industrialization, as some kind of a fantastic splendor that one can hold these magazines, and they're actually very beautifully printed with a lithograph as base, but from copper engravings. So the world comes in to the 19th century Chinese environment, not just as the Western aggression or even Western institution or Western religion, but as curiosity. And this Shanghai pioneered of this particular presentation. The Chinese had quickly adopted this, the world as a form of entertainment. Chinese artists started to copy these images. Actually, we can find them from, Frank Leslie Illustrated, London Illustrated. Actually, they took a lot of images from there. There are other scholars who studies this. And this is in particular 图画寻报, 1909. very early illustrated journal, where you have Paris, you have London, and you also have China. This is a world that it does not exclude China. China is just part of this world. That's a very important ingredient. Shanghai, of course, features prominently in this illustration. Here we have ships that are not gunships. What I find particularly interesting is the rising sun, which symbolize hope, which symbolize the morning, the coming, the dawn of a new era. And of course, these are merchant ships coming into the Shanghai port. And with these, anybody who's seen Cultural Revolution posters, this is particularly provocative. And of course, should be the rising Mao Zedong coming up. But anyway, that's another topic. But of course, the theme that this is peace under earth, under the sun, right, coming. And Shanghai, in particular, is presented as a wonderland. In this one image, you see piling on top all the technological know-how of the day, all the industrial advancement are all piled onto this land of wonder. So in a sense, this text, of course, talks back to earlier world point of view that since Shanghai Jing, since a very early time, we have the mountain and sea classics. And we have from the Ming, actually this illustration is from the Ming Wanbao Quanshu, the encyclopedia, daily encyclopedia of the Yuan and Ming period. This is I think a Ming copy. So the Westerner is represented here. So we do have the world coming together, but this is a China-centered perspective. It's largely an imaginary, the other, largely imaginary world. So by the late 19th century, of course, with the Shanghai impact, with this, all this illustration, this representation in the world has vanished. Coming with it is the representation of the world as the fantastic. There are three conditions for the arrival of the world and the interpretation of it as a form of entertainment. First, as I have demonstrated, Shanghai illustrated Shanghai print market developed rapidly. The reason the Shanghai print market could develop, of course, is backed up by Western technology. At the same time, the opening up of a public sphere that Shanghai is the only place that could produce and could have these images published and widely distributed. The technology, of course, is very important, and primarily not just lithograph technology. I'm also talking about photographs. With the arrival of photographs, a new type of taste was formed for the realistic and for the contemporary. The imaginary of the world is very much saying, this is happening now in the world. We have a photograph of something that is happening now, and very, very stimulating, of course, for the imagination. From the very beginning, Shanghai had a reputation since the 1890s as the world's biggest playground. 中国世界最大游戏场, the world's greatest playground, and Shanghai 大乐园, of course, in the 1910s, became a very dominant coinage for the Shanghai city. This development of Shanghai as the showcase of the West, as the showcase, as the big playground, you can come to Shanghai and experience all the aspects of being in a foreign, having a foreign experience without leaving China, has become, by the 1880s, 90s, in the advertisement in Shanghai, you come to Shanghai for this experience, that's very openly acknowledged. So the industry started to explore the possibility of marketing Shanghai as the biggest world playground. And this, of course, the basis for this, actually, I find this quite interesting. From the Taiping period on, the notion of Shanghai as Penglai, as the island of the immortals, start to surface in the Zhuzhici, in the poetry. Penglai was used because there was Taiping War all around the south, and only Shanghai provided this safe place. By the 1880s, the Penglai image was used for describing the technological wonders of Shanghai, with all the electricity, with all the know-how. By the 1910s, this notion of wonder of Penglai was translated as the big playground. So this started to have a, shall we say, negative connotation from a business point of view. Of course, you are here for an adventure. You should come here for an adventure. And the representation of this physically was the creation of the amusement parks in Shanghai. And the amusement park, very interestingly, they were called 游戏乐园场 or something, 游戏场. They're all modeled after Paris and Copenhagen Tivoli. And actually, it's quite interesting, in Zhangyuan, in the Zhang Gardens in 1870s, you already start to have portion of the garden actually devoted to these Western technological driven fun aspects. I just found out this in my research, a new thing I have not known before. There is also the first roller coaster being built in Shanghai. It's called, the theme park is called Feilongdao, the Flying Dragon Island. So you paid 一角, you pay 10 cents for that time. I haven't done, I just found the source. You can go in for a ride. That's in the, in the 1890s. But by the 1910s, there were so many big playgrounds in Shanghai with the name of the world. You come here and you experience the world. We first have 新世界, the new world, 大世界, the big world. Here the image is the 1917 大世界. That's one of the most famous and long-lasting amusement parks in Shanghai, in China. And there is 新世界, also amusement park, 小世界, miniature. Right beside the 大世界, so we recognize you as the big one. We are the small one. 神仙世界, also a playground that's in the Chinese part of the Shanghai. And then there's 大千世界, 江北大世界. They were all playgrounds that use the name of the world. They are marketing the world as amusement. What is very interesting is that I'm particularly interested in the architecture. That actually very much, I went to Copenhagen actually to have a look at Tivoli, and there are many aspects that are very much similar. And of course, Shanghai was right on target, exactly the same time, about a few years later than Copenhagen. What is particularly interest today for me is the entertainment parks on top of the 百货公司 is on top of the department stores. Sorry, it's fine. Yeah, and on top of department stores, that's also very fashionable in Paris at the same time. Very fashionable in Paris that you have on top of the department store, you have amusement park. And this one is Yong'an. Yong'an was one of the first to explore this. And the other one I want to focus on is the Xianshi. Xianshi they were all from the 1910s. Big, 4 big department stores. Each had their own amusement parks on top, and each had their own amusement park newspapers. The newspaper, since I am very much interested in the public sphere, in the entertainment newspapers, and how that might influence the social change of the ordinary people, I would like to focus on one of the newspapers in this department store. 新世界 was one of the first of the department store plus amusement park. That's their newspaper. I will go into the format a little bit later, but they all actually imitate 新世界, have about the same format. I'll go to the format a little bit later. 大世界, as we saw, the architecture, that today I think is just closed for renovation. I'm not sure what they're doing there. Actually, I went there to visit a few years ago. So you have, this is a newspaper from 先施公司, from the department store. What I particularly was interested is the top is the name. It is called Eden. And it's called 乐园, the Chinese translation, right? Eden is now moved into the Shanghai mental space as some place you go and enjoy yourself. And so what I'm interested in is, if I claim that the world became an aspect of entertainment, how is the entertainment newspaper structurally represent the world as entertainment? How does it structurally conceive of this idea? And how does it relate to the creation of an earthly paradise? We're not talking about Penglai, we're talking about Shanghai as a place of a paradise. And what kind this type of entertainment playground, the entertainment newspaper, offer and promise the viewer or the player? And finally, did this entertainment aspect or world as entertainment actually transform into social forces that actually sabotage the normative or the power structure of the real world? Does it have an impact on society? Due to time, I'm going to go rather fast. I would like to, it's always one sheet with front and back. So it's 4 or 5 minutes, okay. So this is the back of the newspaper. I'll go over it rather clearly. So if we go from the bottom, this is the advertisement for the department store. Each floor, what the department store has. The next layer is the movie houses. The movie house, actually, somebody can do a fantastic study. All the films, this is during the First World War, so all the films are American films because Europe was not making films anymore. Every single film has a long description, but the title, of course, is hard to match, but I think if you do the dates, probably it's not so hard. So it's coupled with Chinese, this is the theater program, this is the explanation, and this is the tea house that serves tea. And we go to the next level. This is the courtesan singing entertainment. We go to the next level. This is magic shows on the right. In the middle and on the left are northern storytellers and southern storytellers. So we have the combination of everything that you could possibly want. And here I find really interesting, architecturally, they built pathways. These are stargazing bridges and so on, the rendezvous places. On top of this, I actually translated this wrong, and then I caught myself. 黑美人, I thought was black beauty, and then I thought about it. No, it's black Americans. And black Americans dancer must be tap dancers here, and the woman, muscle woman, I don't know what the 女力士 is all about. And then, of course, the brothers Couture, they are the famous English, and then we come to the Eden, and then we enter heaven. Then we go into the gate. I was really interested in this Art Deco gate that welcomes you in. And here are the American tap dancers. Their photographs are published in the newspaper. Here is the Couture brothers. They're in Shanghai for decades, performing in these entertainment house. And I just go really fast here. The second layer of the representation in the Xiaobao is all of these columns. And what is very interesting when you contrast that to the daily newspapers, there is no hierarchical order in all the columns that come in. I don't have time to go into it, but it reminds me of the literati garden. That is, there is nothing arbitrary. All the aspects, I don't have time to, I'm sorry, I didn't time it well. There is the museum, there is the tea garden, there is the amusement park, there is the lecture podium. There are all literary little fields that has and Western literature being represented. So in format, it actually reminds me of a literati garden which suspends the worldly hierarchy. In this garden, everything is equal. You can wonder, you can select, and you can choose. And here, Western and Chinese aspects are coming together. I really like Joan's point just now about how, in a way, how a society cope with asymmetry by absorbing it, by making it into itself. Okay, I just have, this is the standard newspaper. You can see it starts with 社论, world news, politics, business news. And there we have the Xiaobao, which challenged this in this particular, what do I mean by the lifting or the suspending hierarchy? That is, the Xiaobao suggests that the marginal could be in the center. The foreign could be non-threatening. And the marginal could be in the center. I particularly studied the rise of the female impersonator as promoted by these entertainment newspapers. That is, the coinage, the discussion of what is Peking opera art takes place in these entertainment newspapers as a consequence of the rise of female impersonator as an artistic performance is first really introduced to the readers through this kind of entertainment newspaper. The hierarchy is broken. We have love couples coming into visual force, whereas before, courtesan entertainment is exclusive. We have now every day courtesan entertainment being published in the newspaper and being performed. The courtesan performance actually takes place in these 大世界. We have the coming of the modern girl that is being painted with all the Shanghai modern in her look that actually reminds or replaces the menu, which is exclusive, unreproducible. Now we have every day you have Shanghai beauty coming in as the central place. And we have the modern girl coming in. Okay, oh, I still have 2 minutes. Okay, I can still conclude. Okay, so I would just like to conclude. I'm sorry for not going into the more detail about the Xiaobao content. That is, in this amusement park and in this type of entertainment newspaper, there is a suspension of the worldly, real power dynamics. And it offers a possibility to experience the world, experience the West, experience entertainment in a seemingly egalitarian manner. This is, however, not to dull the senses, I believe. In fact, it instills in the reader and in the player a new type of social order that is possible, that is not thoroughly hierarchical. And I think that it was interpreted into the rise of female impersonator. And actually, it's very interesting. The discussion was on, is beauty part of the art of female impersonator? How do we deal with the I'm being moved by the beauty? So this type of discussion, of course, is very sensational for the reader, so they entered this. So in these newspapers, never there is a sense of overt education. There is never a sense of a national border, what is Chinese or what's not Chinese. And through this type of education, or through this type of seemingly non-challenging wondering, the Chinese reader and the Chinese goer to these entertainment halls get a taste of the modern, get the taste of the world, and actually it could and should, and not should, but it actually did influence their private lives. Thank you.